Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Tiff with the T. Welcome. If this is your first time, I hope that you would consider subscribing. I'm almost to my 1,000 subscriber goal. If you guys could help me do that, I would really appreciate you. And I just wanted to talk today about this video I ran across on TikTok. Let's go ahead and take a look.
So I gotta get this off my chest, I'm sorry. So y'all know in my last video I talked about not being a wife to your boyfriend. How it's levels to this shit. Don't be acting like a wife if you ain't one. I use my relationship as an example because I've been in a long-term relationship and there's just some things I don't do. Things I consider to be duties a wife would do. That I am not. Nor am I ready to be.
To a point, I can agree that when you're in a relationship, it's not the same as being married. So you don't know if you're going to be with this person for the rest of your life. You probably wouldn't do things like buy a home with that person. You probably wouldn't do things like make long-term investments. Like you wouldn't tie yourself into an extensive business project with someone who you're just in a relationship with, who hasn't made the commitment of being your life partner. However, there are certain things that women should be expected to do in your relationship, in your everyday relationships, right? Call me a pick-me if you want to. I've already been chosen, honey, so I can say this. When you're in a relationship, you're trying to see if this is going to be a good match for your life. You're trying to see if your boyfriend is going to be a potentially good husband and vice versa. So there are some things that are required of you, just like you would expect if you were down on your luck. Maybe you lost your job and you were dating somebody, you would expect them to help you out with your bills or with a place to stay or a ride to work. You would expect certain accommodations. And the same goes for men. When they're in a relationship, if they're willing to do certain things, you also should be willing to do certain things. A man ultimately is going to expect that you have a good attitude, that you know how to handle conflict. They want to know if you can cook. If you're in a relationship, it's not expected that you cook all the time, but cooking a man a meal every once in a while to let him know that if you marry me, just know you gonna eat. Things like that. It's not so much a responsibility when you're just in a relationship, but it's a courtesy to the relationship. It adds to the relationship. It builds and it lets that person know that you are invested to a certain extent. Of course, once you get the ring, that clause of to a certain extent will change. However, you shouldn't just have your hands folded and think, oh, I'm not doing laundry, I'm not cooking, I'm not cleaning. I don't have to listen to when my boyfriend tells me he doesn't like the way I live my life, or to change this, or to, watch myself in this area. I don't have to do none of that because there ain't no ring on my finger. If that's how you think, your relationship is not going to be successful anyway. In this young lady's case, I don't know how long she's been in a relationship. She did say she's been in a relationship long term, whatever that means. There might be a reason why she hasn't gotten that ring. I'm just saying.
But there were a lot of pick-me's, and Kevin Samuel was talking about why he must not, he. Baby, where in y'all mind do y'all believe that marriage is solely up to the man? If anything, it's my decision. Trust me, a man knows when you want to marry his ass. And let's be clear, I've never been one of those women who walk around the world looking for a man or a husband. Bitch, getting married is not even in my top 3. It's barely making my top 5. But it is something I want one day. That day will be when I am where I want to be as my own fucking woman. Baby, this love right here is primary. Loving somebody else is secondary.
And she's absolutely right when she says it's not completely up to a man if I get married. You're right. A man gets down on one knee, and what does he do? He asks you for your hand in marriage. He doesn't tell you that you're going to marry him. He meets you halfway and he says, look, I'm willing to give of myself and make this commitment to you. Are you ready to do the same? And then you meet him halfway. I don't understand women who think of a man's proposal as the man having the power. Just like the man has the power to ask you if you want to spend the rest of your life with him, you also have the power to say no. So there's a balance in that equation. So for women to say that you have a pick-me mentality, if you think that a man asking you to marry him is the height of your womanhood, that's a weak argument. That argument doesn't even make sense. According to Urban Dictionary, it says a pick-me is a woman that is willing to do anything for male approval. She will embarrass or throw other women under the bus to achieve this goal. The unfortunate thing about a pick-me is usually the men they are trying to seek approval from are of poor quality and treat women badly, leaving little real benefit for the pick-me. Okay, so if we go by this definition, a pick-me is willing to settle for a bum and throw women under the bus in order to do it. I don't know about you guys, but I have me a good quality man. If a woman is gonna go to the level of committing her life to a man, you better believe he has something. He's gotta have something going for her, for most of us. I mean, there are exceptions to the rule, but throwing somebody under the bus to achieve your goal of being picked, that's somebody who's desperate to get a man. That's somebody who doesn't have a man to herself. She wants to take somebody else's man. And the majority of people who are out here getting married, the majority of women out here getting married, they're not getting married by stealing somebody else's man. They're getting married by nurturing the relationships that they're in with their boyfriends, who then turn into their fiancés, who eventually turn into husbands. This mentality that some women have of looking down on other women because they want marriage long term, they want to raise their children in a 2-parent household, or whatever the reason is for somebody to want to get married. Because trust me, there are a lot of reasons. To look down on that and to call them desperate and to think of them as women who will do anything to get the ring, I think that it somehow makes those women feel better about not being picked. It says more about the woman who is judging than it does about the woman who's actually working towards a marriage or who's in a marriage. Calling people who are married pick-me's, I don't know who came up with this term, but it absolutely needs to stop because it's derogatory. For some reason, there's an attack on marriage. Because I consider myself a strong advocate for marriage, I personally was offended by her use of the term in the video. So she sounds so me, when I choose. It's about me, my self-love, when I'm ready. And it just comes off as the whole relationship is about you, sis. And that's not what a relationship is. It's a mutual thing. You both have to be putting into the relationship. You can't just be taking and pouring into yourself and expecting the relationship to flourish. You also have to be pouring into the other person because that's part of the dynamic of a relationship. For a person to understand that you have to have self-love before you can give love to somebody else, I definitely appreciate that, because I think a lot of people go into relationships and they think that the other person is responsible for their happiness. And that is the downfall of a lot of relationships, because you have to make yourself happy. I'm 100% on board with that statement. However, what I don't like about her demeanor is that it's like it's all up to her if she gets married. If it was all up to her, why hasn't she asked the man for his hand in marriage?
Bitch, getting married is not even in my top 3. It's barely making my top 5.
Maybe she'll never be ready for marriage. And that's just the reality of a lot of American women today. When you are so self-centered and you think that, oh, it's up to me, I call the shots. The way she even said,
it's my decision. Trust me, a man knows when you want to marry his ass.
You refer to a man that way, like you're referring to our men, the fathers of our children, the leaders of this country, the leaders of the world. Just the way she said it just didn't sit well with me. What's your opinion on the term pick me? How do you hear it being used? And is there a term that's the opposite of a pick me? Because I need to know. I'm going to start using that for women like this. We need to stop putting other people down for wanting something good and trying to flip that good thing and turn it into a bad thing. Thank you guys. If you made it this far, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.